He swore an oath to save lives, but instead he became a killer. At least that's what everyone believed. The patient died right before his eyes, body convulsing as the heart flatlined. In the medical chart it was written in bold, "Doctor's error." His colleagues stayed silent, though they knew he had prescribed the correct medicine. Someone had slipped potassium chloride into the vial, silent, precise, like signing a death sentence. In a single night he lost everything. His reputation, his career, his freedom. But one thought kept him alive: to find those who turned him into a monster, and make them taste the same pain. Dr. Adrian Keller had never believed that one night could destroy a life. He had built his career on discipline, compassion, and a reputation as one of the most promising cardiologists in the city. Patients trusted him. His colleagues respected him. His family was proud. But in the sterile silence of the operating room, under the dim glow of surgical lamps, everything shattered. The patient on the table was a middle-aged man, 45 at most, admitted for a routine cardiac procedure. Nothing unusual. Adrian had performed similar treatments dozens of times without incident. The monitors beeped steadily at first, a reassuring rhythm, but then the sharp, flat sound of the alarm ripped through the room like a blade. The patient's body convulsed, his skin paling, veins tightening like cords under the flesh. Adrian's heart hammered in sync with the machine's panic. He ordered a crash dose, adrenaline, defibrillation. He tried everything. But within minutes, the monitor went flatline. The man was gone. The room fell silent. The nurses exchanged uneasy glances. One of the senior doctors stepped forward, checked the chart, and muttered under his breath, "Doctor's error." Those words pierced Adrian like a scalpel to the chest. He looked at the chart, confused. The vial he had prescribed was correct. He had double-checked. But something was wrong. His eyes scanned the syringe lying discarded on the tray. Then, like lightning, realization struck. Potassium chloride. A lethal dose. The kind of silent killer that would stop a heart in seconds. But how? He hadn't ordered it. His hands trembled. Someone had switched the vial. Someone had wanted this. He opened his mouth to explain, but no one spoke in his defense. His colleagues kept their eyes down. The head nurse avoided his gaze. Adrian's mind spun. They knew. They had to know. But silence weighed heavier than truth. By morning it was everywhere. The newspapers screamed headlines, promising doctor turns killer. Hospital scandal. Medical negligence costs life. The board suspended his license. The police opened an inquiry. His home was raided, files confiscated. His wife left, taking their daughter with her. And when the trial came, it was swift. Too swift. Evidence twisted, testimonies conveniently missing. Adrian stood in court, listening to the verdict like a man in a dream. Guilty. The word echoed inside him long after the gavel struck. His career was gone. His name was ruined. His freedom was stolen. But beneath the weight of disgrace, a single ember of rage burned. Someone had done this deliberately. Someone had turned him into a scapegoat. And if they thought prison would break him, they didn't understand the man they had betrayed. The first weeks inside were brutal. Prison was not made for men like him, educated, clean-handed, unprepared for the hierarchy of predators and victims. He was mocked as the killer doctor. Some spat when they passed his cell. Others whispered, curious if he had really poisoned a man on purpose. But Adrian endured. He stayed quiet, kept to himself, and studied everything. The guards, their schedules. The way contraband moved. The alliances between gangs. He was a doctor. His skill had always been observation, diagnosis. Now he applied the same method not to patients but to survival. And at night, when the lights went out, his mind replayed the moment in the operating room. The vial. The silence of his colleagues. The cold expression of the hospital director as he testified in court, conveniently omitting details that could have saved him. It wasn't just one person. It was bigger. A system. A betrayal woven through the very walls of the hospital he had dedicated his life to. He vowed he would find out who. He vowed he would make them pay. And in the quiet darkness of his cell, Adrian Keller stopped being a doctor. He became something else. A patient seeks cure. But he sought revenge. The prison was a world of its own. Concrete walls, rusted bars, and the stench of sweat mixed with despair. Days blended into each other, the same thin meals, the same harsh whistles of the guards, the same fluorescent lights that buzzed like dying insects. But Adrian Keller wasn't wasting time. Every day was an anatomy lesson, not of the human body this time but of power, corruption, and weakness. He learned who controlled the cigarettes, who ran the kitchen, who smuggled in pills and syringes. He saw the patterns: guards taking bribes, gang leaders running businesses behind the bars, and doctors, prison medics, who looked the other way for a price. It was a fragile ecosystem, and Adrian realized he could survive in it not by fists, but by brains. One evening, a fight broke out in the yard. A younger inmate was stabbed in the stomach with a sharpened toothbrush. The guards didn't care. They dragged the bleeding man toward the infirmary, muttering that he wouldn't last an hour. That's when Adrian acted. "I can help him," he said. The guards laughed. "What are you gonna do, killer? Give him a potassium shot." But when the inmate collapsed, clutching his intestines, Adrian knelt down. His hands, steady as they had been in the operating room, improvised a tourniquet from a strip of cloth. He pressed the wound, controlled the bleeding, and barked orders at the shocked guards. Against all odds, the prisoner survived. The story spread like wildfire. The killer doctor had saved a life. For the first time, inmates looked at him with something other than contempt. Some even with respect. That night, the saved man, a wiry gang runner named Vico, limped into Adrian's cell with two others. "You saved me," Vico said simply. "That means something here. You need anything, you tell me." Adrian didn't smile. He only leaned forward, his eyes burning with quiet intensity. "Yes, I need information." Over months, Adrian traded favors. He patched wounds, treated fevers, helped addicts survive withdrawals. In return, he gathered whispers: the names of corrupt officials, the flow of drugs, the connections between the prison system and the outside world. One name kept returning, like a ghost haunting every rumor: Dr. Marcus Wallstrom, the hospital director, Adrian's former superior. The man who testified at his trial, coldly and without hesitation. Wallstrom, it seemed, was connected to pharmaceutical contracts, research funding, and shady clinical trials. And the patient who died on Adrian's table? He wasn't just anyone. He was a whistleblower ready to expose fraudulent drug testing. Killing him wasn't negligence. It was convenient. The pieces clicked. Adrian wasn't ruined by mistake. He was chosen as the scapegoat. The perfect fall guy: young, ambitious, respected. Easy to destroy so the real players could continue their games. The rage that had once been a burning ember now roared like a furnace. But fury alone wasn't enough. If Adrian wanted vengeance, it had to be precise. Clinical. Surgical. He began to write. Not on paper, that would be seized. In his mind. Every night, he rehearsed the steps of a plan, memorizing it like anatomy charts. He studied the guards' shifts, the infirmary's storage, the way prisoners disappeared during transfers. He knew it would take years. He was patient. A doctor knows that curing a disease requires time. And this disease, corruption, betrayal, required the sharpest scalpel of all: revenge. 3 years later, opportunity came. A fire broke out in Block C. Smoke filled the halls, alarms screamed, chaos tore through the prison like wildfire. In the confusion, 2 prisoners vanished during transfer. One of them was Adrian Keller. By the time authorities restored order, Adrian was already gone. His disappearance made the evening news, but most assumed he would be caught within days. They underestimated him again. Adrian had no family left, no reputation, no life to return to. But he had something more dangerous: knowledge. Medical training, precision, patience, and an unbreakable purpose. He began moving through the city's underbelly, changing names, trading his skills for shelter. In illegal clinics, he stitched wounds for gangsters. In backroom labs, he synthesized compounds no one else could. Each step gave him resources, allies, and tools. But his eyes never wavered from the target. Marcus Wallstrom. The man who orchestrated everything. The man who had stolen his life. And Adrian swore that when the time came, he wouldn't just kill Wallstrom. He would dismantle everything he built. Piece by piece. Patient by patient. The oath he once took, "Do no harm," was dead. Now he had written a new one. "Do unto them what they did to me." Adrian Keller lived like a ghost. New name, new city, new habits. He rented a room above an old pharmacy where the owner asked no questions as long as rent was paid in cash. During the day, Adrian blended into the background, an ordinary man with tired eyes. At night he built. Notes, sketches, diagrams. A surgeon's plan, only his patient was not flesh but vengeance. The first step wasn't Marcus Wallstrom himself. No, Adrian was too precise for that. A direct strike would be suicide. The target had to be the veins that fed the heart of Wallstrom's empire. Cut them one by one and eventually the heart would bleed out. And the first vein was Dr. Celine Harrow, Wallstrom's trusted assistant. She had testified in court against Adrian, claiming she had witnessed his incompetence, though Adrian knew she wasn't even in the ward that night. Celine now ran a high-end private clinic, adored by wealthy clients who never questioned her methods. Adrian studied her for weeks. He shadowed her commute, her favorite restaurants, the way she laughed too loudly when drunk, the way she locked her office door but never checked if the cleaning staff was inside. Every detail went into the surgical map in his head. When he struck, it was quiet. Celine returned home after a charity gala, wine still on her breath. The lights were off, but she noticed nothing, until she closed the door and heard a calm voice behind her. "Good evening, doctor." Her body froze. She turned slowly, eyes widening as she saw him. "Why, you're supposed to be in prison." Adrian stepped forward, the dim lamp revealing his face. Because of you." She tried to scream, but his gloved hand covered her mouth. In the other hand, a syringe glimmered faintly. Not filled with poison, that would be too merciful. Instead, it was a paralytic. Within seconds, she collapsed onto the couch, her body stiff but eyes wide, trembling with terror. Adrian sat opposite her, his gaze cold, clinical. "I don't need to kill you tonight," he said softly. "I need you to understand." On her coffee table, he placed her own files, documents he had stolen from her clinic. Fake research trials, altered medical reports, money transfers from pharmaceutical companies. Proof of her corruption. Proof that she was never a healer, only a parasite. "I could send these to the authorities," Adrian continued. "But I won't. Not yet. First you'll play your part. You'll help me reach him. Wallström." Her eyes darted, filled with silent pleading. Adrian leaned closer. "Don't worry. You'll live. For now. But every day you'll wake up knowing that I hold your pulse in my hand." He pressed 2 fingers lightly against her throat. Her heart raced under his touch. And then, as quickly as he had come, Adrian vanished into the night, leaving her paralyzed and sobbing on her own couch. That was the first cut. The beginning of his dissection of Wallström's empire. News traveled fast. Within weeks, whispers reached the underworld. A ghost doctor was moving in the shadows, exposing corrupt physicians, unraveling secrets thought buried. Adrian's name wasn't spoken aloud, but fear spread. Celine, trembling and broken, began feeding him information. Bank accounts, research contracts, names of doctors who served Wallström like dogs. Adrian followed the trail and struck again, not with syringes this time but with exposure. One night, a wealthy clinical researcher woke to find his data leaked online, trials falsified, patients harmed. Another, a drug company lawyer, crashed from a mysterious, allergic reaction at a dinner, Adrian's subtle touch in her food. Each act was precise, controlled, surgical. And all of them pointed to Marcus Wallström, though the man himself seemed untouchable. But Adrian was patient. The disease had to be weakened before the final incision. Wallström had built an empire not on healing but on control. He owned clinics, research labs, entire hospitals that moved to his command like chess pieces. To touch him, Adrian needed more than fear. He needed chaos. The first strike had been Celine. She fed him the arteries of the empire. The second and third came swiftly, the researcher exposed, the lawyer eliminated. Now Adrian moved deeper, like a surgeon cutting past skin and fat into the vital organs. He entered hospitals at night, disguised in scrubs, blending with exhausted interns. His face was forgotten by many, but his gait, his precision with instruments. Those who saw him at work felt something eerie, like watching a phantom doctor from another age. Adrian wasn't just sabotaging. He was teaching. Every falsified chart he uncovered, every patient mistreated for profit, he carved into the system and then lit on fire for the world to see. The whispers grew. "He doesn't kill right away. He makes you watch yourself fall apart. He knows your secrets before you do. The doctor is back." For Marcus Wallström, the first hint came in a phone call. "Marcus," Celine's trembling voice cracked. "He's alive." On the other end, silence. Then a low laugh. "No, Celine. He's not alive. He's just a ghost you created by fearing him. Handle it." But her silence told him everything. The fear was real. Adrian wanted Marcus to feel hunted. He planted signs. A vial left on Marcus's desk that contained nothing but saline. A scalpel mailed to his mansion, wrapped in sterile cloth. A single word carved into the leather of his car seat. "Doctor." Security doubled. Cameras were installed everywhere. Yet, when Marcus sat in his penthouse office, he sometimes swore he heard faint beeping, like a heart monitor hidden somewhere in the walls. The empire began to fracture. Doctors resigned. Investors pulled funding. Patients whispered of lawsuits. But Marcus Wallstrom wasn't a man to bend easily. He tightened his grip, buying silence, forcing loyalty through fear. "Whoever this ghost is," he told his board, "I'll make him wish he had truly died." Adrian heard every word. Celine made sure of that. And he smiled. Every predator has to taste blood before the hunt reaches its climax. Adrian chose Dr. Greaves, a surgeon who had fabricated dozens of procedures for profit. Greaves was arrogant, untouchable, until Adrian struck in his own operating theater. The lights flickered. Instruments disappeared. The patient, prepped for surgery, suddenly had their chart switched with a file that exposed every crime Greaves had hidden. Nurses whispered. Panic spread. And when Greaves turned, Adrian was there in the gallery above just for a second, mask over his face, staring. The surgeon screamed. The nurses thought he had lost his mind. By the next day, Greaves had fled the city. His reputation was in ashes. One vein severed. Finally, Adrian aimed at Marcus himself. Not his body, his mind. He hacked into Marcus's medical records. Small details were changed. A slightly elevated potassium level, a shadow on a lung scan. Subtle but enough to plant doubt. Then Adrian mailed him a sealed envelope with only a CT scan inside. At the bottom, handwritten. Stage 2 carcinoma. Left untreated, 14 months. Marcus's hands shook as he read. He tried to laugh it off, but late at night, he touched his chest and wondered if the ghost had already poisoned him. His dreams turned red with flatlines and syringes. Marcus set bait. A charity gala at his hospital with every powerful name in medicine present. Dozens of guards, cameras, eyes everywhere. He expected the ghost doctor to strike, to make a statement. And Adrian did come. But not as a guest. Not as staff. He came as silence. The power grid flickered. The heart monitors in the ICU upstairs suddenly beeped in unison, a rising chorus of flatlines. Panic spread. Doctors rushed. Guests screamed. And on the main projector of the gala, every screen flickered to life with one message, white on black. "You took everything from me. Now I take everything from you." Marcus rose, shouting, "Find him." But even as guards moved, Adrian was already gone, leaving only chaos in his wake. The end came not with a bullet but with precision. Celine delivered the final map, Marcus's hidden lab, where he had tested experimental drugs on unwilling patients. Adrian infiltrated it at night, the corridors sterile and cold. He found cages of suffering, silent victims of Marcus's greed. When Marcus arrived, he found Adrian waiting. No mask. No disguise. Just the man he had destroyed. "Adrian Keller," Marcus sneered, forcing confidence. "I see the ghost finally shows his face." Adrian held up a vial. "Potassium chloride. Do you remember it?" Marcus's smirk faltered. "You gave it to me once. Tonight I return the favor." The two men circled like predators. Marcus lunged, but Adrian was faster. A precise strike, a syringe plunged into Marcus's arm. The billionaire gasped, his heart racing out of control. He collapsed to the floor, eyes bulging with terror. Adrian crouched beside him, whispering, "You killed me once. Now I let you feel what I felt." The monitor beside the lab bed screamed with a flat line. By morning, Marcus Wallstrom was declared dead, cardiac arrest. His empire shattered within weeks. Files leaked. Victims spoke. The medical world turned on itself, tearing apart what he had built. As for Adrian Keller? Some said he vanished overseas. Others whispered he still walked hospital halls at night, faceless, nameless, watching. But whenever a corrupt doctor felt the prick of fear down their spine, they remembered the whispers. The doctor is back. And this time he doesn't save lives. He takes them.